Hey everybody, Chris from Lightning Eater here, and welcome to our first half-hour power discussion podcast. Now what these talks are going to be is I'm going to take a game or some aspect of a game and discuss it and give you my thoughts and opinions on it in 30 minutes. Now, today I'm going to go over the Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS character roster, so let us begin. Okay, so let's start off with Pit. Pit is back, gliding is gone, making him less OP than he ever was, still has his spammable hi-ya-ya-ya attack, and his arrows are still not as controllable as I would like them to be. But it is nice to see our Kid Icarus representative back, and now joined by Palutena, which I will get to later. Now, next on the list is Bowser, who will be returning. Despite his buffs in speed and power, as seen in the Wii U and 3DS demo, Bowser is still not up to the top tier, and it's pretty disappointing, honestly. Bowser's pretty iconic as a Mario villain, and I feel like either he should stay with the cast and be given some mad buffs to make him relatively playable, or be replaced by another iconic Mario villain. There are plenty of them. Choose one of the villains from Paper Mario, or even the villain from Bowser's Inside Story with his chortles. I forget his name. Fawful, that was it. Choose a different Mario villain if Bowser's not going to actually ever be good. Even though he's iconic, I mean, I feel like he should be replaced if he's never going to be ever good compared to the other characters. And it's not like he's mediocre, he's significantly bad. His recovery's pretty terrible, and his range is even worse. Next on the list, we have the Electric Mouse Pokemon Pikachu, returning again from the cast of the original 12. It's no surprise to see him back. He has been buffed here and there, giving his down B a little extra power and a little more juggling room. What are we playing? Mortal Kombat? But no, seriously, I'm glad to see Pikachu back. He's the iconic Pokemon of the franchise, and it's no surprise that he's back, and possibly better than ever. Next on the list we have Fox, who, despite not seeing a game in a while, is returning from the cast of the original 12. Now, we haven't seen a new game for Star Fox, nor have we seen Falco announced for Super Smash Bros. But I believe Falco will be back, and maybe this time around, Falco will actually have a significantly different moveset from Fox, despite his pretty much near clone of Fox in Brawl in the past games. Now, for Kirby top tier OP. Kirby is now back and possibly better than ever, especially with his new Smash. I mean, the cooking pot was cool, and the range on it was pretty confusing, honestly, depending on what map you were playing on. If you were playing on Jungle Japes, I'm pretty sure it was almost unavoidable. But you know what? Kirby was a part of the original cast. Glad to have him back. Next on the list, we have Samus. Now, Samus is the mascot for Project M, and unfortunately, is still really underpowered. Now, her Smash is still the Zero Laser, but she doesn't do the transformation. I mean, there's not much to say about Samus. She's relatively the same. I mean, without the transformation, I feel like she's going to be played less, due to the fact that Zero Suit Samus was usually the more played version of Samus. But maybe in a future installment, she'll get some buffs that she really needs. Now, next we have the joke character for the generation, the Wii Fit Trainer. The Wii Fit Trainer is actually considered possibly going to be top tier competitive because of how good she is. She's really powerful and mobile, so I'm pretty sure that automatically makes her OP compared to all the other characters. Because characters are either fast with little power or powerful with little speed, but Wii Fit Trainer seems to be the top tier of both. Now, I've seen her gameplay. Her Smash is actually really solid, but again, in competitive, the Smash Balls are usually off, so it's not like we'll be seeing that, but her Sun Salutation can get ridiculous in terms of timing and power. Next up, we have the newcomer Mega Man. Now, despite me never actually playing a Mega Man game, I was actually really excited when he was announced. I mean, because I knew it would be the first time that you could play with Mario, Sonic, and Mega Man next to each other, but I thought that was already really exciting, and then when they announced Pac-Man, all the hype was real. But, I mean, Mega Man's neutral is his blaster instead of some kind of basic punch attack, which is kind of awkward. And I heard controlling him is a little stiff, and if you would say robot-like, but I'm pretty sure it just takes time to get used to him, despite his unique playstyle. Next, we have Link. Link is again returning. Not really a huge surprise, but more on the topic of Link is the fact that Ganondorf has not been announced to be returning yet. I'm not sure if Ganondorf is going to be returning, or if they might even choose the villain from Hyrule Warriors, or if they're going to choose like Demise or Girahim, or maybe even Zant to fill his place. But, I mean, Ganondorf is really iconic, so I'm kind of actually surprised he hasn't been announced. I mean, I won't be surprised when he is announced to be returning, if he is. But I also won't be surprised if they announce someone else instead of Ganondorf, because he's always been a clone of Captain Falcon anyway. Next on the list we have Donkey Kong. Nothing too special. We got the iconic Mario villain-ish kind of anti-villain hero-villain back. You know, they used to be enemies and then they just started to party and cart together, but that's cool. I'm pretty sure he stays relatively the same. Even his smash is staying relatively the same at the conga beat. Impossible of the time for us with no rhythm. So it's going to be interesting to see Donkey Kong returning if he has any buffs at all compared to his previous game appearances. Next on the list we have Mario. We can't have Smash Bros. Without Mario, of course. I'm pretty sure the only buff that Mario has got since Brawl was that his Mario finale is now a lot more useful and powerful, but still as easily dodgeable, unfortunately. His Flood, I'm surprised, actually stayed in his moveset, despite like how relatively useless it was. Like in Brawl, Squirtle had Water Gun. And again, those pushback moves, I never found them extremely useful. I'm sure someone did, but I've never been able to like find the time to charge them, especially in a 1v1 on like a really small map. Like, I don't ever find them useful, and I'd rather just go for some long distance attack than trying to charge that up and then running in. Now, next on the list, we have the newcomer Villager. Now, Villager's an interesting choice for the character roster. Animal Crossing is a relatively large franchise for Nintendo, but again, if you've seen any of the creepy Villager memes, you know that the Villager may not be as innocent as he looks. Now, the Villager has his tree attack, which I find is the most significant of his attacks because it's that multi-stage attack that seems almost impossible to actually pull off correctly, because you need to have the final swing when your opponent's nearby, though it does deal a ton of damage and knockback. The Villager, I mean, I'm glad to see him. He's in the game. The more representation from more of Nintendo's medium-sized franchises, though I guess Animal Crossing is actually medium to large size for Nintendo. Any representation from those size franchises, I am completely welcome to. Next on the list we have Peach. Not really much to say there. I mean, she's not getting subbed out for Daisy anytime soon. She's too iconic. Pretty sure her moves stay relatively the same. I'll be curious to see if she actually got any significant buffs since Brawl. But, I mean, she's already a pretty floaty character with pretty decent recovery. So, I don't think there's anything too surprising we'll see from Peach. Same goes for Luigi, which we know the only big difference for Luigi would be his Smash, which is now his Poltergeist vacuum ghost cleaner. Now, I think this is a large improvement because it actually expands on his cannon instead of the Zero Zone or whatever the actual name was for it in Brawl. And it like keeps with the canon of what Luigi does, because I don't remember if the Zero Zone was actually canon or not. It might have been from a game that I didn't play and didn't research. So, I think it's actually a more fitting Smash for him anyway, even if the Zero Zone was canon. And I think that besides that, we won't really see any significant changes from Luigi. Next we have Pikmin and Olimar. Now, Olimar was actually one of the fighters that got severely nerfed during this game because of the 3DS release, I believe. Now, they took away the ability to have as many Pikmin as he did and shrunk it down to 3, but instead of his normal strategy for getting them, they came out in a certain order. Now, I believe this is actually really harmful to him, because despite it'll keep things more organized on the 3DS, which it could, trust me, the 3DS version can use as many less chaotic events and characters as it can, because I've gotten lost playing on the demo of like trying to find myself. Though, I mean, I'm pretty sure that won't be a huge problem and just need to get used to it, but I think having a ton of Pikmin around would not help. So I'm not sure how Olimar is going to be able to cope with this new season with the Pikmin mechanic. I did try him out in the demo. He's still relatively good in terms of the Pikmin. I guess it'll just take used to. But I guess if you plan out the order of the Pikmin, he can still be as good as he was. Next, we have Toon Link. No surprise, except the only surprise is he didn't follow his Link Between Worlds-ish look rather than his Wind Waker-ish look, which I was slightly surprised that they didn't change that up. But again, I guess Toon Link is Toon Link all around, so I don't think you can do too much to follow canon when it comes to Toon Link. No surprise here. He's actually, I guess he actually is the other clone compared to Lucina and Marth. So I guess people don't really distinguish him as a clone because he's different enough. So I mean, it's no surprise he's back. Actually, I was completely expecting him to return. Next, we have Sonic the Blue Blur. I'm pretty sure that no big changes have made to Sonic. Pretty sure no big changes to Sonic, except for his smash attack, which I heard is still ridiculously long in duration. And we all know Super Sonic is pretty OP, even though it's like kind of like Pikachu's Volt Tackle, where it was ridiculously hard to control. It was pretty powerful if you could manage to land hits. Okay, next we have Marth, who will be the main character from Fire Emblem. I'd say Ike is not the main character, and Lucina and Robin wouldn't be either, because Marth has been in the past games more than they have. But I mean, no big surprises with Marth. She's returning. Well, she or he, depending on... Okay, well, Marth is technically a he, but in the newest game, Fire Emblem Awakening, Lucina pretends to be Marth, and Lucina's a she, and it's really confusing. I always get the gender mixed up, but Marth is a guy, and it's good to see that he's returning. Next up, we actually have a very interesting fighter that I was super excited to see announced, which was Rosalina and Luma. Now, Rosalina is actually one of my favorite video game characters of all time, just because of like her background story in Mario Galaxy being possibly... I'm not even sure if Mario Galaxy is my favorite game of all time, but if it's not, it's definitely up there, just because of how like groundbreaking Super Mario Galaxy was. Rosalina has actually got this interesting mechanic where her Luma goes a distance away from her when she fights. And I heard that's pretty, like, unique compared to, like, any other characters like Long Distance or Zelda's, like, Gollum. Her down special, her new down special, instead of turning into Sheik. But, Rosalina, I definitely want to see more of how she plays. All I know is that her final smash sucks. It's a relatively where she puts a power star and it shoots a ton of stars out of it, and it's relatively blockable by just hiding behind some kind of long-distance stage hazard or just generally staying out of its way. Okay, so next up we have on the list being Lucario. Now, Lucario is a returning fighter from Brawl, but I was surprised he actually wasn't replaced by someone along the lines of Zoroark or Greninja, because Lucario was chosen for the Diamond and Pearl release, which was about the same time as Brawl's release, and before that we had Mewtwo. So I'm kind of actually surprised he's returning, but I'm actually pretty glad he's returning, because his new Smash is now Mega Lucario, which is the transformation which takes advantage of his gimmick where if the more damage he's taken, the more powerful his aura attacks are, which certain attacks are auras for him, certain ones are not. I think a majority of his smashes are aura attacks. But Lucario's smash actually maximizes the power on the aura all the time, which I'm not sure if that's actually going to be kind of OP, because I know it can deal ridiculous amounts of damage, but I don't think it grants any extra knockback power, which is why I think it might actually be pretty balanced. Now, next on the list we have King Dedede. No big announcements concerning his buffs or nerfs, or I think his actual special's even the same, his Waddle Dee army. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I mean, nothing too special about D2D. I'm glad to see he's returning. He's the iconic Kirby villain. I mean, he's more decent than Bowser in terms of playability, but he's still pretty bad. Nintendo has this thing where they make their villains pretty bad when it comes to Smash Bros. Okay, next we have Zelda, which now no longer transforms into Sheik, and her down smash will be replaced by a Golem attack from the Train DS Zelda. Spirit Tracks, that's what it was. It was Phantom... Was it Phantom Hourglass? Ooh, I believe it was Phantom Hourglass. Ooh, I just upset the Zelda fan base. So, I believe that, she's going to stay relatively the same, besides that move, which, she sends out a Golem, it can protect projectiles, can do a one-swipe attack, but besides that, it's nothing tremendously different. She might still be played as much as she was, because I know a lot of people played her for Sheik, but I know a lot of people played her just for Zelda. So, I don't think she's going to be impacted as much as Samus was in terms of the transformation change. Next on the list, we have Little Mac. Now, Little Mac, amazing air game, horrible land game. Just kidding. He actually has horrible air. It's not even horrible, it just downright sucks. He has no recovery. But, to counter that, he's a beast if you find him on, Final Destination. His damage output and his KO meter make him one of the most lethal characters in this game. I actually think he's going to be pretty top competitive for, the amount of damage he can deal. Though, it might actually retract that statement, because there's a lot of flying in competitive, so I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so next we have Diddy Kong. Nothing too special about Diddy Kong, except that tripping is now out, and that Diddy Kong's bananas is one of the only ways to trip in the game. That's going to be a cool little gimmick for him. I'm pretty sure he's equally as powerful as he always was, but no major changes besides that. Next, we have Zero Suit Samus, and her jet boots. So, Zero Suit Samus has become extremely agile, and her mobility is through the roof. I know that her smash is kind of like Snake's was in Brawl, but ridiculous, because she pulls out her ship, and she flies in front of the screen and shoots a dual laser beam at a certain spot, kind of like Snake's noob tube, and will target certain opponents. And I've heard it's really powerful, and the duration on it is kind of insane. Next is Sheik. I'm pretty sure she hasn't received any humongous changes in terms of buffs or nerfs, and I think she's relatively the same as she was in Brawl. Next on the list, we have the newcomer Greninja, which fooled everyone in thinking he was Mewtwo. So, Greninja, I'm actually relatively surprised to see he's in the game. I was actually really expecting Mewtwo during that trailer, but once he started powering up his Water Shuriken, I knew it was Greninja. Now, it's interesting because before Greninja was popular, they chose him to be in the roster, so it must have been pretty good intuition by Sakurai, or whoever chose him to be in the roster, to see that he was going to be a fan favorite. I actually chose Greninja as my starter in Pokemon X, and I believe that he's going to be a nice addition to the roster. If anything, I would have liked to see someone not Pokemon take his spot, because I believe Pokemon may have one too many representatives if they include Jigglypuff, but I'm a huge fan of Pokemon as myself, so I can't complain too much. Next we have Yoshi, whose really only major changes his posture goes from being more dinosaur-like to more of his upright posture, which you can see in more recent games. I mean, I don't think there's any huge changes to Yoshi, except I believe there's a small rainbow behind his egg toss, so you can see where it's going a little better. Besides that, I'm pretty sure he's remaining relatively the same. Next on the list, we have Ike. Ike will be returning from Brawl, which I was really surprised wasn't Chrom, but I think that's been explained already in the fact that Chrom is part of Robin's Final Smash and not going to be a fighter this time around. Sakurai even joked in the reveal trailer for Robin that Chrom was not going to be a fighter, which really trolled everyone. Sakurai and his trolling. Oh well. Ike now has his Radiant Dawn appearance, which makes him look more buff, and I'm pretty sure he's staying relatively the same from Brawl. Next on the list, we have Charizard. Instead of teaming up with Squirtle and Ivysaur, he's actually coming solo this game, and I know his Smash is Mega Charizard X. Come on, Nintendo, stop playing favorites. I want to see some representation from Mega Charizard Y. I know his one Smash is actually Flare Blitz, which will work like it does in game, where it only deals recoil damage if it hits a target, but it is already ridiculously powerful. So it's nice to see Charizard's back. He's always been a huge fan favorite. If anything, he's a tad overrated, even though I chose him. But, you know, it's nice to see more Pokemon representation. I'm happy with that any day. Pokemon's a huge franchise for Nintendo, and I believe that they definitely shouldn't be overlooked. Next, we have Mii Fighters. Actually, Mii Fighters, I'm relatively pleased with their presence in the game. Their amount of customization that you can do with them is amazing, and I think that not having them play online is fine, because I believe with the amount of customization, it makes them maybe a tad too random for online play. I mean, I get that, like, online play, you have the For Glory mode, which is supposedly the more competitive mode. So I believe that Mii Fighters, actually, I'm pretty supportive of Nintendo's choice not to have them play online. But besides that, Mii Fighters, pretty great addition. I mean, it's going to be interesting. And it's actually how Nintendo will get Reggie in the game. Because there was a petition a while ago to get Reggie in Super Smash Bros. And this is how Nintendo's going to fulfill it. And I'm not too upset with that. Next, we have Palutena. If there's any character I was disappointed that made the roster, it's Palutena. I'm not a huge Kid Icarus fan, and I thought Pit would be enough representation, and I kind of find it imbalanced that they added technically a god to the game, but, I mean, I'm not going to complain too hard. She seems pretty balanced despite some of her insane moves, so, I mean, I'm not going to complain too much, but Palutena is definitely not my favorite newcomer of the bunch. Next up, we have Pac-Man. Now, Pac-Man is actually pretty surprising, because I was not expecting to see him at all, even after, like, there was so much hype around, oh, Pac-Man confirmed, Pac-Man confirmed. I didn't expect to see him at all. Now that he's here, like, I'm really supportive of their design that they chose, and didn't go with his Ghostly Adventures design, which, for those of you unaware, is his new remake design for his new cartoon. Now, I know Pac-Man does reference his older design plenty of times, and he actually has a ton of Easter egg cameos to just his Namco background as a whole. When he uses one of his taunts, I believe it is, he pulls out a ton of old iconic Namco characters, and we even have the special flag as an item. And we also have the, I believe it's the Galaga enemy aliens in the game as well. So it's nice to see we're getting plenty of Namco representation, since they are helping out with the game. I think the more franchises, the better, and as Smash Bros. Reaches out to these guys, it's nice to see them. Next on the list, we have Robin. Fire Emblem Awakening was another one of my favorite games that I've ever played, and it's nice to see Robin in the game. I was a little surprised. I didn't exactly expect him. The gimmick with his tomes running out and his Levin sword only lasting so long is really interesting, and it'll make you manage him, like kind of like in the game where you only have so many uses of items. But I mean, I don't think we know enough about him to really judge how powerful he's going to be compared to the other fighters. Next on the list, we have Captain Falcon. Pretty sure Falcon's going to stay the same as he always been with his Falcon Punch. Nothing too special, I believe, except that his Falcon Punch looks amazing. If you go to the Smash Bros. Website, they have a picture of his new HD Falcon Punch on the Wii U, and it looks beautiful. Next on the list, we have the Marth clone Lucina, whose power will be focused in all of her sword instead of just the point. Now, if Sakurai said that she is worthy of being her own character and not just a Marth reskin, I believe that she's actually going to be different enough to prove that she should be a different character. I'm going to take him up on his word. I mean, Toon Link is different enough from Link to be his own character, so I guess Lucina will have enough different play style in the terms of her sword moves that that she will deserve and earn different character slot. Now, last on the list was the newly announced Meta Knight. Now, here comes the biggest gamble ever. Will Meta Knight be nerfed? The answer, probably, but the chance that he's not still stands. Now, I really hope to see Meta Knight nerfed. I actually didn't expect him to come back after how OP he was in Brawl with every special being a recovery, but he is a really cute blue Kirby equivalent when his mask is off, of course. So, I mean, he's a fan favorite. I mean, I'm not too surprised to see him back. I actually really didn't expect to see him at all. But, I mean, if he's not nerfed, I don't know what they were doing over at... I don't know what Sakurai was thinking if they actually don't nerf Meta Knight, but I'm thinking they probably will. Now, I'm going to spend these last 5 minutes here discussing who I would like to actually see be announced relatively soon. I really hope they do confirm Jigglypuff, because that would complete, or almost complete, the original cast returning to the new Smash Bros. Game. I really hope that actually the one leak doesn't come true, because I know there's a lot of fans of Rhythm Heaven, but I really don't want to see the choir boys in here. I mean, they look so abstract compared to the other fighters. I mean, they don't seem to match, like even the abstract fighters, like Wii Fit Trainer and Villager and Pac-Man, like, they're not as abstract as the choir boys. It's not like Rhythm Heaven has a mascot that you can follow along with. They have, like, a different set of characters for their mini games, but I don't feel like they have enough of a mascot. Character I hope won't be returning is Wario. I know there's a lot of Wario fans out there, but I mean, I think Mario has enough representation, and yeah, Wario is technically different enough to be not considered Mario, because he's got his WarioWare line games. There was the Wario Land. I mean, he has his own chain of games. He had some good ones for the DS. But, I mean, I don't think he's relatively iconic enough to make a return. Who else did I definitely not want to see? I definitely don't want to see, what was his face? I definitely don't want to see Wolf. If they announce Falco, I don't want to see Wolf return. And if they announce Wolf, I'm going to be disappointed because they didn't choose Falco. I feel Falco is a lot more iconic than Wolf in terms of the series, even though the one map is based off Star Fox Adventures, in which the one game I think Falco wasn't actually in. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Wolf wasn't in that game either, I don't think. So, I'm going to be pretty disappointed if they actually announce Wolf. Wolf was actually significantly different than Fox in terms of, well, compared to Falco. But I still don't think he's... I know he's technically the main... No, I guess Andros is the main villain, so he's like a sub-villain for the Star Fox series. So I don't think he really deserves a character spot in returning roster. I think I'd rather see it taken by someone else. I don't want to see Snake return, because I felt like Snake never fit in with the Smash Bros. Theme. I feel like... I know a lot of people were fans of Snake, and that he added a more mature aspect, but I was not a fan of that mature aspect. I thought, like, what is Solid Snake doing in this game? Like, I don't think he fits in with a T-rated game. I love Solid Snake in his own Metal Gear franchise, but I don't think he belongs in Smash Bros. And I think that's going to sum it up for this half-hour power discussion podcast. I'll probably be doing stages and items. You guys can tell me what other things you want me to discuss in the comments below. And I'm actually really hyped for Destiny releasing soon, so I might even do a half-hour power discussion kind of review on that once it comes out. So that is all for today. Thank you for watching, and if you like what you saw, you can leave a like, you can comment, you can subscribe. You don't have to, but that would be nice if you wish to stay up to date on our future content. Remember, videos coming out Mondays and Thursdays, and you could always check out our Facebook page that I will leave in the description. And I think that wraps it up. So, we'll see you guys next time. Adios.